John Coleman.
I was asked a question, sprint review, it's a formal or informal meeting? What's the best way to do the sprint review? So in Scrum officially, the events are not meetings because they're time boxed, and the sprint review is informal. It's an informal working session, and it's not a demo. That's quite a trigger word for Scrum.org in particular about it being a demo, because it gives the impression of one way. Here's the increment and all that kind of stuff, and also it doesn't get across the message that maybe people should be allowed to interact with the product. We should be able to play with it and see what it's like. And actually, I was training a guy last week, and very impressed. He told me that his team, they play with the product in the sprint review. They're doing a game, so they play with the product. I thought that was really, really cool. And even better if you can get external gamers in that case to play the game to give you some feedback. For me, the sprint review has 3 time horizons. And normally there'll be a vision for the product. There'll be some kind of product goal, some sense of direction where we're going, and the team probably had a sprint goal for the sprint that's iterating towards the product goal, and that sprint goal hopefully has customer end user outcomes in mind, in which case it's some kind of an intermediate goal from an evidence-based management point of view. If not, if it's more like an enabler, that would be considered like a tactical goal, something that we're kind of doing. But either way, there's some kind of goal that the team is going for. They're not committing to specific items, they're committing to a sprint goal. And the sprint goal doesn't have to be for all the items in the sprint. I talked about that before. Just like not every item in the product backlog has to be for the product goal, not every item in the sprint backlog has to be for the sprint goal. So the 3 time horizons, what are they? So if the team is doing discovery, which I encourage, so I really encourage Scrum with UX as a combination. I also encourage Scrum with Kanban as a combination. In fact, Scrum with Kanban and in UX is a really powerful combination. And if the team is doing discovery, it means that they're talking to customers, they're doing customer interviews, they might even be doing deep listening, as in Young would say. They might be showing some kind of prototype, low fidelity, high fidelity, or maybe some kind of experiment, a Wizard of Oz experiment, a concierge experiment, some cheap experiment to see if this idea that's in front of us is worth pursuing, is it worth even building it. So one of the things in this sprint review would be to check in, how do those customer interviews go? How do those deep listening sessions go? How did customers and end users react to the prototype that they saw? So in other words, you're reviewing the results of experiments. That's one part of the interview for me, if you're doing discovery. Second would be that you'd be looking at what you've already released. So you could have released stuff during the sprint, you could have released stuff the last sprint or whatever, but there's really no point in releasing unless you check in whether that made a difference, and do we actually get any value out of that? Do we make things worse actually, or how much better do things get, and where are people dropping out? Is there still friction for the customer end user? They may like it, but could it be better? Could it be improved, and so on? So reviewing what we've already released actually, and how people are reacting to that is a fabulous way to do that. And also you can be looking at market insights. What's the trend in the market? What's going on with the competition? What are the latest things that people are expecting, and so on. So were there previous things that were table stakes, that were bonuses but that are now table stakes, that we have to deliver them, kind of thing. And the third thing, which most people over index on, is showing what we have right now that maybe we're thinking of releasing next. And Sometimes people use PowerPoint slides in that with information, and I'd encourage you not to use presentation software, but to just show the product. But if there are some details that some stakeholders are interested in, just send that out as pre-read, and try to make the sprint review kind of like what I call a Steve Jobs style sprint review, where you really inspire the attendees, and you don't bore them with the details. You give them all the details. They're there as supplementary information. You send that out in advance. If you want to surprise them, you send it out afterwards or during the session. But you don't focus on mundane details that maybe only one or two stakeholders are interested in during the sprint review. So it's a working session. It's informal. And that's my tip for how you deal with the sprint review. Any questions? Just send one in over social media. Thank you.